The right buyer might come around, but the buyer has been patient. The buyer has been waiting for the right opportunity to happen and come along and take advantage of it. And if you don't believe that, take a look at the numbers. Now, we're still in a seller's market. However, there's a huge amount of houses that are on market that are just not selling. I have 2 of them. They're overpriced for where the value is, but technically speaking, you know, back in March, April, May, that's where the prices were, and we're just holding on. Now, you can have a stubborn seller, you can have a stubborn buyer, and ultimately you don't have a house being sold. That's because if the value doesn't come in for what the buyer will pay for, your house will not sell. If your house is overpriced, buyers will look at it, but they won't put an offer on it. Period. It's just common knowledge, common sense. If you think that we're going to wait for the right buyer to come along and see the value and put an offer at your price that you think it's worth, you're sadly mistaken. And I see it happening all the time. And I'm talking to my sister, and she's in real estate too. And she wrote offers on houses this weekend, and she wrote offers below list price with a lot of concessions on it. And that's just the way it is. Nothing's going to change, right? One of them got denied. They came back and said, we're not going to pay any commission. We're not going to pay these closing costs. We're not going to pay, and we want you to pay more than what our house is worth. Well, the buyers walked because arrogance. The number one reason why houses don't sell. The number one reason why houses don't sell. Seller ego. I can guarantee it. We're here to bring the buyer and seller together and make it work, right? When times are great and there's a firestorm and people are desperately trying to buy houses, you can have an attitude about it. Right now, things are slower. Prices are coming down a little bit. Still a seller's market. We're still seeing houses sell list priced over like 3 to 5% over list price. If you price it accordingly. If your ego tells you it's worth $1 million and it's worth 500, your house is going to sit, period. Done. Okay, let's take a quick look at this story here. Return of the buyer's market in 2025 comes at a price. This is written by Redfin. Ryan Kingsley is an editor for Scotsman Guide. And Scotsman Guide is a mortgage lender's magazine, keeping us educated on what's going on there. The gap's widening. Home sellers outnumbered buyers in the market by 36%, up from 35% in August and 36% in June. So there's more sellers than there are buyers. So it calls it a buyer's market, but here in the Bay Area, it's not. It's still a seller's market because prices are going up. Houses are still selling. We're going to go into that. We have the 12 Bay Area chart real quick. Market definition of a buyer's market is having at least 10% more active sellers than buyers. Yeah, technically. Our rule of thumb is anything over 6 months. If your market, whether it's a zip code, a county, a city, is going over 6 months, then you're in a buyer's market because houses are overpriced and they're just sitting on market for way too long. Here's something I want you to understand. Oftentimes, the buyer ends up winning the negotiation because they have options. It's no longer a feeding frenzy and you have 17, 20 offers. You're lucky if you get one offer. And now the buyer is taking advantage of that, saying, you know what, I'm going to write 2 offers. Is it ethical? Not necessarily, but you know what? Buyers have options. What are you going to do? So when I work with my buyers, I'm saying, let's go write 3 offers, 2 offers, because if you get stuck on one house, then then you're not playing with a full deck of cards. You're not a full hand. You're just saying, oh, I have a pair of 2s. I think I'm going to play some poker, right? When you have 2 offers down, and you come back and see what options are given to you, whether it's a counter offer or a signed offer, you have options. Buyers are taking their time. Buyers are taking advantage of this market. And here's the other thing too. If both offers come back and they're not what you want, walk. Go look at another house next weekend. Right? It will happen. You can write an offer, deny it. When they come back with a counter offer, that's ridiculous. And guess what? In 7 to 10 days, that selling agent, that listing agent will come back to you and say, hey, I think we need to talk. And you're like, too bad. We've already moved on. We already have offers on 2 other houses and they don't even want to talk to you anymore. You should have taken my offer when I gave it to you. And that's how it is today. So are we technically in a buyer's market? Not necessarily, but if you find a house that's been on market for 30, 60, 90 days, you might be able to negotiate a little bit. Just saying. Okay. Cupertino House of the Week. This is Upland Way, not my listing. It's $8.7 million. 6 bedrooms, 7.5 baths, 8,000 square feet, built in 2003. And I'm afraid it's in the fire zone. Here it is. You're up in the hills. You're close to, I had it in my head this morning. There's some hiking up there, some beautiful country back there. It's a nice looking house. It's a little opulent. I don't know if I'd pay $9 million for it. There's a lot of cracks that I'm looking at. So far, I don't see anything inside, which is peculiar to me. I don't know what the inside looks like. You're not giving me a reason to go inside to go look at it. So I don't know, crazy. Willow Glen House of the Week. This is Willow Glen Way, which is a busy street. It's a filter street. It's not like an avenue. $1.7 million, 2-bedroom, 2-bath, built in 1938, and it's on a tiny lot. This thing's going to sit for a bit, I think. It's been on market 47 days because you can't do much with it. It's not even 5,000 square feet. A standard lot, 6,000 to 8,000 square feet. So this house is going to sit for a bit. If you're looking for a 2-bedroom in Willow Glen, this is going to go off as a steal. I can bet you that'll go in about 1.2, 1.3. Luxury home of the week is in Napa. And if you know Napa, you can get stuff at like 95 cents on the dollar on the average. So if this thing pops and sits for a bit, you're golden. But imagine having a vineyard, having a ranch house out there for a measly $25 million, 7-bedroom, 8.5 baths, 8,600 square feet, just built, 5 acres. It's custom. It's off in the way back. It's in the East Hills of Napa. This gorgeous monstrosity. Look at this thing. It's just beautiful. I don't know if I'd be happy putting, is that the backyard? You can't really tell. Yeah, that's the backyard. The front yard, I don't even know what the front yard looks like. Well, that's the front of the house. Missing something there. Nice raised flower beds. Nice outside living pergola with electric heat. I like that. That's a beautiful house, guys. It's all over the place. I'm confused about that's an ADU, it looks like. It's a garage, an ADU. That's your entry, I guess, to the main house, and then your ADU, and then probably a little storage shed. Yeah, that is nice. But you don't get the vineyards around it. I don't know about that. Well, maybe something you don't want. You could probably buy it on top of it. There you go. Okay, so I want to show you something real quick. Months of inventory, 12 Bay Area County. This is the one that I measure out here. And November is not exactly accurate. It's close because we're at towards the end of the month. Thanksgiving is coming and we're on our way. But if you look, Napa has the longest lived housing market right now. We've definitely in a buyer's market. Let's see if I can find it real quick. Napa is 75 days on market, which is still nothing. 6 months is 180 days, right? That's why I'm saying we're still in a seller's market based on stuff that we've done for the last 50, 60 years, which is 6 months inventory. I think we're good over here. Everything in the Bay Area is good, mainly because we have such a huge and strong economy here that it's hard for us to understand what it's like in other communities like Las Vegas or St. Louis or Austin, where it does take 6 months to sell a house. Some people lose their patience. I suggest you don't. It takes time to sell a house. Be patient, right? For example, like in Blossom Valley, where I live, 19 days on market on average. There were 3 closings this week. There were 4 new listings put on market, right? So there are 7 put into contract this weekend. So if you price it right, your house is going to sell. My suggestion is always price it below where you think it's going to go, and you never know what's going to happen. There's a fear. I understand that psychology and the fear that goes on and what's going on in your head as a seller. Well, if it's 1.9, they can come down a little bit. But if I list it at 1.8, they're going to come down. And what happens if they give me an offer at 1.7? Well, then tell them no. But at least you'll have more traffic coming in, right? So nothing else is really going crazy outside of the fact that we have $1.7 billion or $17 billion in closed revenue, closed sales in the Bay Area. I mean, in Santa Clara County. And the sales volume just this week alone is 360 million, which is crazy. Now look at Alameda and Contra Costa. Look, if Santa Clara County is out of your price range, $2 million, $2.4 million. Look at Alameda, it's 1.4. It's more affordable and it's not that far away. Granted, we're talking about throwing in all the Oakland houses with Fremont houses and all that too. But you could pay $2 million, $3 million for a house in Fremont, but it's not $3 to $5 million in Cupertino. So you're going to drive a little bit and traffic's going to suck, but that's the mindset, right? Same thing with Contra Costa. You're looking at another $200,000 savings. Is that worth it for you to commute? And Napa is 1.4, and you're looking at 94 cents on the dollar on average versus 103 in Santa Clara, 104. Now, a lot of different areas are coming down quite considerably. I might run a chart there for you, but there you go. Oops. There we go. All right. Hope this is working. Thanks for watching on Vito with Avitano. We'll see you out there.